We could win this war.
We can win this war?
Okay, well, joining us from Orlando, Florida, is the man in that clip, Anthony Dream Johnson, who says he wants to abolish feminism and make women great again.
No, but it also says, with a trademark, make women great again. Fool, we're always great.
Make women great again.
But they're going to do a 3-day seminar for women led by all men.
In mansplaining news, a 3-day conference for women led by men hopes to make women great again.
How the 22 convention will make you the greatest you ever. Raise your femininity by 500%.
First of all, how is a man supposed to tell a woman how to be the ultimate woman?
But women need to be taught how to be great again. Not my words.
We do.
Like how to land a husband, how to lose weight, how to pop out a bunch of kids.
Why do men think they need to fix the problems of women?
Well, it says the world's ultimate event for women.
Yeah, Orlando, Florida, that's going to be the scene of the crime. It's mansplaining palooza, and say no to the toxic bullying feminist dogma.
Taught by men to make women great again.
Taking the stage now is the founder of the 22 convention. You're in for a treat, Mr. Anthony Dream Johnson.
Anthony Dream Johnson.
Anthony Dream Johnson.
The first president of the manosphere.
It's run by all men, which promises to, quote, make women great again. This course is guaranteed to raise your femininity by 500%.
Together, we will make women great again. Excuse me, I'm mansplaining here. She said there's nothing radical.
Boom! Welcome back to the 22 Convention 2021 of Orlando, Florida, being held to make women great again. Being held for the second time ever, at the 15-year anniversary of 21 Studios and 21 Summit, of course, in Orlando, Florida. Our next speaker is a returning speaker to the 22 Convention. She actually has the honorary title and responsibility of being the first ever female speaker we had at the 22 Convention last year. When everyone thought it was exclusively mansplaining, we tricked them. We had a little bit of womansplaining. And now we're going to have more womansplaining from the one and only, the lovely and the beautiful, Jennifer Molesky. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, hello, everyone. I've been waiting to do this for a month now. You're all I've thought about, and I'm not kidding. You're all I've thought about. So welcome back to some of you, and welcome to others. My name is Jennifer Molesky, and I only saw the last speakers, last 30 minutes. And last year, the people that spoke, the men that spoke, I echoed a lot of their sentiments. So by the end of it, I was like, I don't really need to speak. And I echo a lot of the sentiments in this upcoming speech that she did. I was telling my husband that if it was an elevator pitch, I would just say, this speech is going to be that feminism sucks and the government's after you. Have a good night. That's pretty much going to be it. But I have a YouTube channel. It's about 2.5 years old now. I started it because it seemed like there was not a lot of women. How about this? There wasn't a lot of vocal women who thought like I did. I spent a lot of time on YouTube taking in information, but there wasn't a lot of women doing that. And it seems to me that the women who were more conservative-minded or liked men or cared about family, I don't want to talk shit about them, but it was a little stodgy, It's almost like, I heard somebody talking about church a couple weeks ago and how the church is so important, but when you invite someone to a church event, you can see kind of how lame it can be. If you are not into the church, you're like, come on, let's play kickball, love the Lord. It's totally different. So I wanted to hopefully be me and introduce women into the notion that men aren't so bad. In fact, they're really great. Okay, let's see if I can figure out. Yeah. So I guess my big thing was if women are getting what they want, why are women so unhappy? So apparently, since the 70s, women have become more and more unhappy. But that's funny because it seems to me that the rights of women, the feminists have won. So if the feminists have won and we have all the freedoms and all the equalities, then why are women reporting lower happiness levels than men or the same? And I don't exactly know why, but I thought that I should figure that out. Now, you'll see why I'm using this rhetoric. Critically endangered, happy and feminine. It seems like there's not a lot of happy, feminine women out there. And maybe that's just in my life. I'm 43 years old. I haven't come across a lot of those types of women. It's been a lot of kind of severe women who are upset about the outside world and want to make change and don't really concentrate what they have at home. And it seems that the happy and feminine, there's not very many. So I possibly was one of those women. I wouldn't say I was a feminist, but I was kind of like going through the motions of life. And then I met my husband, and now for my YouTube channel, every single video that I make is, if it's positive, it's inspired by my husband. And we left the city a couple months ago, because I feel like I have 4 seasons, just like any other living thing, where my spring season was about who you are. You know, when you're born and then you're under your parents' rule, and that's kind of your springtime, and then your summer is figuring out who you are and showing it to the world. And I did all that, and I spent my summer, and then I feel like in the fall, I just want to smell dirt. I just want to plant things and get down low to the ground, and I don't care about fine dining so much anymore. And it's funny because last year, my husband and I, when we were here, I think I told you, I don't know if you remember, but my husband and I had made a pact where if we left the house for more than 30 minutes, we would have to dress up. And the point of that was to affect change in a feminist world. Why? Because it seems that people aren't really dressing up. They don't really care about fashion anymore. They don't really care about their beauty. So he would dress in his 4-piece suit, whatever it is, I don't know where he is. And I would dress very nice. And then we would kind of be a walking billboard of civility. And that's how we were operating within the world back in Colorado Springs. And that has changed in the fall season and winter season. We recently bought a homestead, which is super weird because talking to Colleen, right, of the Halseys and the pastor, a bunch of people are doing this homestead thing. And birds of a feather flock together, perhaps. I don't really know, but my husband bought us a homestead this last June. So I've had a lot of time away from the city, closer to the dirt, just like I wanted. And I've had some time to be contemplative. And I do that on my YouTube channel, but I have less and less time, so here I am telling you about it, okay? So moving to, does anyone know what heritage breeds are, or heirloom seeds? Yeah, okay. I don't know why speakers ask that. I'm gonna tell you about it anyway, but I guess it's good to know. So because of me moving to this homestead, I had to fill it with alive things. And we have a friend who is a homesteader in Texas, and she told me about heritage breeds, which is what you would kind of call the animals, and heirlooms is what you'd call the seeds. So we have geese and we have chickens, and they're all heritage. And the seeds that we all have are heirloom. Why does it matter? Well, okay. So the hybrids are, these are the chickens. And then look how happy these are. Oh my God, I'd rather be a heritage than a hybrid. And we have heritage breeds. This is all gonna come together, I hope. And then this is the conformist of the hybrid. So let's just talk, now tell me if this makes any sense to you. Because we are from nature, I think we fit into these categories as well, okay? So let's just look at this. So heritage and heirloom, the best of every, in order to be considered an heirloom seed, it's the best of every year's harvest seeds are saved and they're handed down in families, and it has to be going on for at least 50 years. So they don't say this, but I say, it sounds like pure God. It's only God, whatever your definition is. I'll be a spokesperson for AA here. In AA, they say, it's God, whatever your version of it is, okay? But this is strictly from nature, no technical intervention, whereas the hybrid is genetically modified and created by man. Now, let's think about men and women, but here we are concentrating on ourselves and being a woman. To me, this is a more unique type of woman than this one, okay? So genetically modified and created by man. Where do we get that? We'll get to it. Interesting histories from an heirloom or a heritage seeds. How many of you know, and I'm a hypocrite, but how many of you know, like if I say, where are you from? Like what's your ancestry? Italy. Do you know a lot about your heritage?
No, not that much.
Yeah. What about you? Do you know?
From Western Europe, some of it's traced back a long ways.
And
some of it is. Yeah.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but apparently I do because I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, some of it goes back to the 1600s.
And I guess that would be a question for every woman. What don't you know about your history? It seems like in this country we hate a lot of our history, but we don't really have any respect or knowledge about where we came from, what we are. That's so sad. I think about women, it's like every woman that I know in my age bracket has like 1 or 2 recipes handed down from their grandmother, and they're so proud of that recipe. Like, you've never had this good of a cake before, you've never had this good of pasta before, and they're proud. And just imagine if we were filled up with that ancestral heritage knowledge of femininity from our ancestors, our mothers, our grandmothers. What would life be like compared to, would we have a convention right now? Would we even need to have a convention? I mean, this is amazing that Anthony created this where women can come together. There's not many of us. It's a lonely place to be. It doesn't seem like it should be a lonely place. It seems like you should be over in my kitchen and we should be exchanging recipes and talking about what the importance of being a woman and how awesome it is and how awesome our husbands are and everything is great, but it doesn't seem to be going like that. That sucks. Non-GMO, heritage and heirloom are non-GMO. Okay, here, I'll go here. They're unpredictable. Some years are great and some are meh. To me, this sounds like marriage. Or me. Like, some years I'm awesome. And some years I'm exactly meh. Consistent, reliably wonderful for 1 year. Oh, okay. Reliably wonderful for 1 year. And then you have to replace it. And that reminds me of relationships. How many people have been in a relationship for a year with Greg? Yeah, he was cool, but then I left him because I wanted something new and exciting. Or vice versa. If a man meets a woman, typically it goes good for what, a week, a month, a year, and then it gets old or she changes, and then he wants someone good again, but he has to go out and start all this again. Heirloom and heritage take longer to bloom or fill out. Whereas now, it seems to me, and I could be wrong, but women are really encouraged to bloom and blossom far before they should. When the last speaker said that her mother at 12 years old said, if you don't have sex with your boyfriend, he's going to leave you. Now, this is the message. And that was a mother, 30 years ago, but this is kind of the message now, depending upon where you look, depending upon your influence. But that's not very good. Disease resistant. So, for example, some corn has genes from a bacteria that keeps them resistant to pests. So that's like, I'm not going to be weird here, but it's like vaccinations, right? They're prepared for disease. Where these are not, but they are hardier, and they're harder to find than hybrids. Hybrids, you can find them anywhere. Here's what else I like. Heritage and heirloom, they can reproduce and they're good parents. So if I have heirloom seeds, I can plant them every year. So if I'm worried about the end of the world, which I always am, I can plant these seeds and take the best, just like they have been for 50 plus years, and I can get produce from the next year. And as far as the heritage breeds, whether it be a chicken, a pig, a cow, they can reproduce, they do reproduce, and they typically are good parents. Whereas as these guys, commercial livestock, this was going to be attached to these slow growing. But these hybrid, they cannot reproduce. And they're not good parents. And that sounds familiar. That sounds familiar to me. They're more nutritious, they're hardier, okay? So to me, we can say hybrid, and we can say heirloom, or I think of the family influence, if the family is put together, or the mob peer influence, which seems to be society. I look at it as society, and it looks like it's kind of falling apart. I think about people when they go to school. Most children go to a state-run school, and it's peers guiding other peers. And that turns out great. No, it doesn't. So there's the masculine energy. Forget masculine. That's what they deal with over there. You could also look at it as a put-together feminine nature, or kind of a lost feminine nature, where the out of balance is controlling, and I see that a lot. You know what? This is just a random story, but I knew a woman, and I met her parents, and it makes me question the parenting, where the parents seemed to be put together. They loved each other, whatnot. But I remember when she didn't know that my friend and I were watching her, she said to her boyfriend, come, like a dog. It was the worst thing I'd ever seen. But why was she doing that? Maybe it was because of the influence around her, but it makes me wonder about the parents. I don't know why else someone would do that. Out of balance is critical. They're demanding, manipulative, overgiving, and people-pleasing. This would be the more docile, you know. And to me, feminine isn't docile necessarily, or over docile. Whereas the balance is a changing flow of emotions, and that to me is in a more graceful way. You know, a woman isn't just solidly anything. She flows within her surroundings and her relationship, and she puts the dance together. She helps, she's the mortar in the bricks, you know, and because of the mortar in the bricks, she has to have that changing flow of emotions. Compassionate, she creates the connection in the family. I think that's her job. I could be totally wrong, but to me, a woman is the person you want to come home to, that has the children all in order and speaking correctly and speaking beautifully and happy to see dad. And dad has a home to come home to that he wants to come home to. Because men are pretty loyal. They'll come home even when they're not that happy, but I'd rather have them be happy. So, okay, I really like these two pictures because I think they're a very good reflection of the heritage, the heirloom, and the hybrid. Can you see, like I asked my husband to, like this is so, okay, I'll just pretend I'm a guy. I want that wife. She's kind of pixelated, right? But you can tell and this is just a fantasy I've built about her in my head. But when I come home, she's kind. It's not about her. She is ready to nurture and to learn about your day and to welcome you home. And then there's this woman who needs to tell you about her day because she's competing. There's nothing wrong with this. But are women being told that they should go outside of their nature, which makes them, which makes them out of balance? Are we convincing a whole worldwide group of women to be that woman on the right, which makes her out of balance? I don't know. So when I look at this, again, I see this beautiful feminine, and then I see a more masculine. And I wonder, I fear, is that what's happening? Is the The people who have our eyes and ears and our money, are they just trying to rob society of the feminine, knowing that it will potentially go into chaos, that they can own more men and women if they make women forget that their nature is kind and beauty and feminine? So to me, this is feminine. God did that, however you want to see God. Man did that. Awesome. That's awesome. But that's really, really special. I know I picked like the idealistic, but these women still exist. But they're rare. The seeds are rare. She has control of her home. And I think if you are in the feminist mindset, you would think I'm crazy. But any woman who can influence and feed her family is going to influence that whole family, and that whole family goes out into the world. I have a kind of a silly story. We were out to dinner a couple weeks ago, my husband and our 8-year-old daughter. And I told you last year that she gets tickets for being good, okay? So if she gives a compliment, she gets 2 tickets. If she holds the door, she gets 3 tickets. If she says thank you for a door being held, she gets 3 tickets. And then she gets her tickets, and then she can spend it on tablet time or a movie that she wants or a burger or whatever it is. And we went out to eat, and she went to the bathroom by herself, and she came back, and she said there was a woman putting something in her eyeball, and I told her that she looked really nice. I'm like, oh, okay, that's super cool. And then a couple minutes later, this woman came up and said, is this your daughter? Yes. She said, well, she just made this woman's day in the bathroom, because she's like, can I watch, it was contact lens. Can I watch you put your contacts? And they had this moment, and Meredith, our daughter, said something like, I think that you're beautiful and you should have a good night, okay? And that woman was like, oh, thank you, because when an 8-year-old says anything to you, you just think it's the best thing in the world, right? And so when the woman went away, we had a family conversation about how much she matters. I said she could have went to the bathroom and not said anything, or she could have been rude or not held the door or whatever, and that woman would have went out with a neutral perspective or kids today perspective. But what she did was make that woman happy. The people in the bathroom thought it was pretty cool, enough where they came up to us in the restaurant, and then the woman that reported Meredith to us went back to her family and I said, you have changed and influenced all these people in this great way. And I think that when I look at this picture, maybe I'm romantic and idealistic, and I think that's fine. And then there's her. And of course I take the worst, types of pictures. But this woman wants to influence change just as bad as she does. But I don't know how successful she'll be. She might be. I'm not saying there's no success. But she is a meme, but she's also very angry. And I think I know why. We'll talk about it. These people, these people are going to make these people think something, whatever they want. If they take their responsibility as a family, as important as it is, then they will make these people give every woman in a bathroom compliments about her contact lenses. And that's a good world. And then we have, seriously, I don't mind how happy she is, but she's so excited about Planned Parenthood. And to me, that is not an advocate for that. She's so excited that she can bang a lot and not have that. Okay. And again, this is inspired from Socrates, did Socrates speak to you? Yeah. I think he did, yeah. I met him last year. I really liked him, but he showed these pictures like before and after feminism, and it really made me sad. I was really emotional last year. I don't know what was going on, but they made me sad because look how cute she is, and then I don't know what happens. I don't know. Cute, modern, I guess, is the modern look. And look at a beautiful girl. And then This is also what happens. 1999, 2019. So I'm not saying that thin and fit and beautiful has to be the way, but that is more inspiring. Like when I see the woman on top, I'm like, oh, I will eat carrots. I'll eat healthy, you know? And that makes me feel like that I have control over my body, and I want it to be better. I want it to be heirloom. I want to be the picked seed to reproduce and make the world better. Or this one is just, I speak my truth. It's like, okay, this is what I look like, deal with it. So, as I said before, it seems to me that they are robbing or taking or wanting our femininity. What does it mean to do things like a girl? Oh, they take the one thing we're not that great at, you know, and make it into an advertisement. But girls and boys are different. This is a maxi pad commercial, you know? Like, we are different, but they don't seem to want you to know that. They don't want you to develop the differences. So I think that childhood and adolescence should be an apprenticeship to a successful adulthood. And that's kind of the issue I have with the modern education system, is we are sending children to be apprenticed by a teacher who is questionable, possibly great, maybe. But one teacher, or a few, and then their peers. And newsflash, there's a lot of parents who aren't that great, and then they make children and they send them to school. So the apprenticeship, who are they apprenticing to be like? I'm a stay-at-home mom now and a homemaker. And that's rather a new development. But to me, my job, I say that I work for my husband and my daughter is an apprentice to try to show what a happy, healthy relationship looks like. And we talk about it all the time, like how to inspire. Okay. How to show, or why to show, the importance of what a healthy relationship looks like so she can actually be fulfilled. Because remember, women are less and less happy than they've ever been. Why? Well, it's not because the family is going so well, I would say. It's not because the family is going so well. So I try to show her what that is like. Yeah, because women aren't happy. So if the women aren't happy, and they're the ones who are supposed to show the little girls and the little boys what it is to be fulfilled and how to have a family, then we are doing something wrong, and something very bad is happening. So how do we get out of that? Which leads me, last year I talked a little bit about this. Again, who's raising the children? So if it's not going to be you, and if you don't want to stay at home and homeschool, that's fine. That's fine. And if you don't want to talk to your daughters and your sons about how to have a fulfilling relationship, I suppose that's fine too. But they're going to get it somewhere. So the education system, I bemoan this even before my channel. 15,000 hours, K through 12, 15,000 compulsory hours of education. To learn what? I mean,
most men are weak and beta. How do you get past this? How do you be a real man? How do you be a husband and a father?
That has been where we've dropped the ball as men, is because we're too acceptant. We're too tolerant. I'm calling for intolerance for evil.
We need to be able to properly identify with the definition, what is masculinity.
We need men to stand up and do heroic things.
Building a tribe of people who are of like mind, who you can depend on, who hold you accountable, who will call you on your BS.
I call the official tagline for now with 21 Convention is America's last stand for masculinity. I think it is. The event, and it's as a reflection of the manosphere, really.
You come out and you consciously attend and start talking with these people, because people who are coming here to discuss big ideas, important ideas.
Not just talking about being masculine, but okay, you've done all this self-development, what are you going to do with it?
I would say to learn how to be obedient and how to be influenced by the mob, by the peers. And it seems like there's a lot of people who are being influenced by the mob currently. And then you have screen time. So 8 to 10 years old, the average is 6 hours a day. That's a lot. 11 to 14, you kind of peak out at 9 hours a day. And 15 to 18 is 7.5 hours a day. Why? Why the screen time? Well, in my estimation, it's because you don't want your kid around. You don't want your kid around. So here, take the tablet, take the phone, and go. Go. And that adds up. We talk all the time about how our daughter is 8. She's going to be 18 really soon. Really soon. And the goal of the family, don't have a family if this isn't your goal. The goal of a family is to raise the child up so they can go when they're 18 and be well off, well adjusted, not spoiled, understand that there is winners and losers and how to win and how to handle loss and how to handle to see the repercussions of when you don't try. So when you give the tablet, when you give the phone, you're giving away your child to society. Oh my God, I just bought this dress and I thought the tag was on it. I'm like, oh my God, but it's not. Okay, again, I expounded on last year's deal. Know your A to Z. So if we're gonna send our kids to school, let's know what we're getting into here. And the previous speaker touched on some of this. Amazing, amazing. So know your A to Z. This is in elementary schools, not all, but some. So it's the alphabet. A, ask women about their experiences of sexism and harassment. No. B, she was talking about this. Believe reports of violence and sexual assault. Offer support, not suspicion. And F, find a way to support women's choices, whatever they are. That's not raising someone to reality. That is an agenda, as far as I can tell. And then here's a couple more just for fun. D, don't ask, why doesn't she leave? Ask, why is he violent? This probably makes me the most upset because it takes away a woman's real power. Like, why is the man that you chose acting like that around you instead of why don't you elevate yourself out of a situation? Now, this is a touchy subject for some people because violence is a bad thing and you can get manipulated and whatnot, but it still takes all control away from the woman. And I love self-responsibility. If there's one thing I love, it's self-responsibility, because that, if you can find 1% of a tragedy, if you can find 1% where you can take some fault for it, some blame, then you control your life. But when you let other people 100% of the time take the fault, take the blame, you've given your life away. And you then also have no right to claim any victories either if you're going to be that kind of person. And notice when a woman is interrupted or spoken over and call it out. How about just interrupting people is rude? You know, it's interesting that it's just for women. And examine how women are portrayed in popular culture. Don't buy into it. That's actually the only one I agree with. Because women right now are really portrayed as someone who will protect you from the bad guy. And that's not how it really goes in real life. When a man and woman are at home together, how many women would like it if they're at home with their husband and they heard something, a bump in the night, and the guy's like, would you go? Like, we just watched that Wonder Woman movie and I'm kind of sketched out and I know that you have all the power. No, it doesn't happen. So I don't buy into it. It's utter horseshit. The good thing that has come out of this virus is the amount of people who are homeschooling. So it was only 3% of the American population was being homeschooled, and now it's 11% in general, overall. And you know what? I'll tell you what. There's not a lot of parents. No, that's not fair. There are probably parents who, when they homeschool, are not very present, are not very good at it. And I'm going to give you some anecdotal, doesn't matter information. The two of the 5, I would say, smartest people I know were homeschooled by really shitty homeschoolers. And like my friend Uncle Nate says that he, up until 7th grade, he just like climbed trees with his family, and then they sent him to state school, and he was not at 7th grade level, so he had a tutor for 3 months, and then he got to the 7th grade. Like it's not hard to do. So I think even a crappy homeschool is better than the education system. Okay, and then we talk about screen time. I just put a hodgepodge of different things on here. So your children are being influenced. But are you being influenced? So I guess my question to you is, if you are a seed or a chicken or whatever, how much of you is hybrid and how much of you is the root, your nature of feminine and heirloom? And are you happy with that? Would you change any aspect of your character to align more to either an heirloom, nature, or a boss bitch, feminist type of? And there's no right or wrong answer, but I wonder how many people actually think about how much influence they have. I'm a very influenced woman. If I listen to too much rap, I think I'm a bad bitch, but I'm not. And if I watch Downton Abbey, I walk like this, you know? You know how they walk in Downton Abbey? And they're really demure. And I know I do that. It's so silly. But I'm very easily influenced. And this has nothing to do with feminism. But when I started to not trust the government and started to learn about mind control, when I'd be at friends' houses when they were watching TV, I would walk like this, like for commercials. And they'd be like, "Oh, Jennifer, you're so dramatic." But I didn't want to be influenced because I knew my soft, putty mind. Sex and the City. I used to watch that. My mom would watch this with me. Yeah. Cinderella, she's a cool girl, but she ends up marrying like kind of a dummy. I remember him being very wealthy, but kind of stupid. And then this apparently, I don't know anything about Disney, but it said that these are like the badasses. You know, like they're the women who protect the men type of characters. I don't know if that's true. And then this was the woman who took over pedophile. What's his name? Kevin Spacey. Remember when he lost his job because he was diddling? But then we could also influence ourselves with Little House on the Prairie. And for any of you watching, I think you should press pause and go watch Little House on the Prairie, and you will be a better person because of it. But that also influences. There's good and there's bad influence. So if we are being influenced by screen or hybrid, or by parents, but women, many, are being influenced also by screen, by Instagram, and they're under this notion that they deserve to be happier than they are. And that's really bad for children because, and these are a lot of the same stats that you just got from the last speaker, but divorce is really bad for kids. I'm sure many of you are products of divorce. I am a bastard. I was a bastard before it was like a cool thing, or everyone was a bastard. But divorce, according to statistics of children of divorce, about 1 in 2 children will see their parents' marriage break up. And this occurred to me before. If a little boy and a little girl see their parents break up, and if they love their mom like children do, and if they love their dad like children do, there's got to be a notion stored way down deep, like if no one's gonna love mom, who's gonna love me? And if no one's gonna love dad, or the woman who I think is best isn't gonna love dad, who's gonna love me? The little boy would say. It has to affect the children. This sucks. 1 in 6 women sexually abused by a stepfather versus 2% from biological dad. 21% of children are being raised without their fathers in America. And I actually don't know what that's. I don't know if it's just like totally no dad at all. So sorry about that. Children with divorced parents are twice as likely to drop out of high school. This is all the stuff you know. None of it's good. Children with divorced parents are more likely to get cancer, and that's just because they do a bunch of dumb shit. They try to fill the hole and replace dad, the most important man in a child's life. And they replace it with alcohol and heroin and meth and food and shopping and all sorts of stuff. Children with divorced parents are twice as likely to attempt suicide. 4 times as likely to have social problems. 300 times more likely to experience mental health issues. And they're at a greater risk of living in poverty. Yeah. Okay. So that leaves us with single mothers. Okay. Single mothers. Girls with no fathers in the home have lower self-esteem. Girls with lower self-esteem are more promiscuous. Okay. No father families are more likely to be victims of abuse. They have a higher BMI. The more opportunities a child has to interact with the biological father, the less likely they are to commit a crime or have contact with the juvenile justice system. This is what the last speaker was saying. What are single moms good at? Creating convicts. That was funny. And then youths with no father have the highest incarceration. So this is what we're getting from single mothers. Now, single mothers are very venerated in society. People like them very, very much. And they're almost guilted into it. Like, if you have a single mother, you don't want to disparage her because she did the best she could, even if that's horrible. She did the best she could. And we have the government come in to help single mothers, and we feel bad for single mothers, and we think they're empowered and go them, and they have a career, and they have it all, and they go to college, and they raise these children. And we have single mothers who go back out into the dating, and they create books like this. This is a real book, How to Date Men When You Hate Men. That's so sad to me. Okay, so the little girls and little boys are watching. I'm not saying all single moms or all women hate men, but why would they hate men? That doesn't seem like an heirloom type of emotion. That seems manufactured. So, how to date men when you hate men. Okay, so we don't like men, and then there's some people who are just totally berserkers, and they think that fathers don't deserve a day, and Father's Day. And I've heard this before. I've seen it on Facebook. Just toxic, right? I mean, that's influence for me. I should probably get off Facebook. But it seems, maybe, it's just a theory, an opinion piece, we're trying to take away the importance of fathers. Fathers are bad, men bad, bad. And the ultimate, I'm not religious, this is the weird thing. The ultimate father is God the Father. So, okay, here, in 1882, who said it? Nietzsche said, God is dead. God is dead. So he said this, and I think about this all the time. God is dead. We killed him. Nietzsche never said that religion is dead. There's always the God hole. And, okay, here's what I think we did. I think, on purpose or inadvertently, we created Earth to be the single mother. Because right now, everyone feels so poorly about how we're treating Mother Earth. And who's her partner? I thought it was the heirloom, the seed of light of a God who would help Mother Earth keep all the unruly children in line with his rules, with his masculine religious rules. But we created a single mother. And then whenever we have a single mother, we have to have the government come in to help. Oh, I didn't know how to sneak this in. Agenda 21 is really bad. It is the United Nations plan and agenda to help Mother Earth, because Mother Earth is weeping. Okay. Agenda 21 is a 350-page United Nations agenda that they wanted to have completed by 2021, but now it's been pushed back to 2030. And it sounds really good. It sounds like a bunch of government officials who really care. And they want to help the planet. I did a search for women in this 352-page document, and women was mentioned 252 times, and men were mentioned 18 times. And it was always attached to and women, men and women. And Agenda 21 is intended to set out an international program of action for achieving sustainable development during the 21st century. Okay, that sounds good. Sustainable development is the overarching paradigm of the United Nations. The concepts of sustainable development was described in the 1987 Brundtland Commission report as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So the government is coming in to help us with our single mother problem because God the Father is gone. So what kind of things will you find in Agenda 21? I wanted to read the whole agenda. As I said, it's 350 pages, and I tried to learn how to speed read, and I just couldn't do it. So here's some highlights. They want to minimize the size of land holding required to maintain production, which means you will have to have X amount, for any of the homesteaders, you'll have to own a certain amount of land in order to keep that land in production for food production. Strategies and plans for the achievement of equality in all aspects of society. So they're really into the equality, which you see a lot of right now. It's not meritocracy, it's just equality. Participation in key decision positions for women. They want women, literacy, education, training, but it has nothing to do with men. They want women in positions of power because I think it's a feminist. It's a feminist backed idea, notion. And patent protection and intellectual property rights. They're really big on patent protection. And do you remember for hybrid and GMOs, proprietary ownership by seed creator, which means that you won't be able to own those seeds. And you will not be able to grow your food. And you will not be able to own that land. And I sound crazy, I know, but I want to show you. So this is the Agenda 21's map of where you're going to be allowed to live, and they want this by 2030. So the red is where no one, little to no human use. Does anyone live in any of these red areas? Yeah, I live over here somewhere. Yellow is buffer zones, highly regulated. Where you can live is the normal use. I'm not making it up. You can go to the United Nations and you can see what they want to help Mother Earth. Look at the biggest piece is a lake, so that doesn't even count. So this is my fear. I fear that I guess I'll ask a question. Who to you, in your estimation, are the closest people to being an heirloom? To me, it's people who farm the land, who have their hands in the soil, who care about their chickens and their cows, and they know the terrain, and they care about their neighbor, and they care about their community. It's not a United Nations, which is hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away. So I think if you take these people, if you make it a rule to take the people from their land, you're left with no men and hybrid women and a hybrid society. And that worries me a lot. My mom said I've been worrying since I was a little girl. So maybe that's it. But I just fear that we're being tricked into thinking that by being similar to everyone else and by being a boss bitch, you know, Will, there's a guy named Will here, and he's doing a documentary called The Renaissance of Men, where he is talking about the resurgence of masculine men and the importance of masculine men. And I guess to me, I would like everyone to consider what kind of a woman they are to home and protect these men who are coming through, who are raising up to be what we all say we want. what women say they want, which is a strong, competent, able, loving, protective man. Because I don't think that the kind of men who are going to save us from ourselves and care for our neighbors and care for our land are going to be attracted to hybrid women. So that's, I think I have a bunch of bogus slides after that. Yeah, bogus. Oh yeah, I looked up men. I'm like, oh, men is talked about 7,000 times in Agenda 21. No, it's implementation. And then someone told me, just so you know, you go control find and then space the exact word in space and they'll come up. And that's how I found out that they were actually mentioned 8 times. No, let's not do that. So when we remove God, we are susceptible to trying to fill that, as I said before, with shopping and sex and promiscuity and competition in looks and drugs and alcohol and everything not good. And then I wonder if we just fall for a whole lot of silly things. That's why I did that, but that's kind of rude because that's just like a political opinion and a fear of mine that we're getting a little too science, like bending the knee to science. But anyway, you know what? I'm going to leave it there. I told my husband I don't have an end to this speech, and that is the freaking truth. That's the end of that speech. So I am happy to talk and have you tell me I'm wrong, and the government is our friend, and feminism is awesome.
Please tell me about your background.
Yeah, none.
Who are you?
Yeah, well, I'm just a woman. I'm just a woman who you don't have to listen to. I am a high school dropout. I am a stay-at-home mom. I am a reader. I am a lover of people. I love men, and I started on YouTube. And I talked about I talked about the kind of red pill stuff, and that's how I fell into this room. A year ago was the first time that I spoke. This is the second time. And yeah, I wish I could say I've been something really, really amazing for the past 15 years. I've just been in love with men and not in love with government. Yeah, cool. How many of you, when I asked, I'm gonna go back to that boss bitch and that feminine woman. Have you ever thought about who kind of owns you? Do you feel like you own yourself? Yes. You do. This is an interesting group of women to talk to, as I said before, because I think mostly we're all here, I think, because we want to be better. We're not the kind of women, I hope, that blame and don't want to better ourselves. So I think when you have a room of men or women who are very concentrated on bettering themselves, I would get that answer. Yes, I'm in total control. I know how much hybridization I've gotten. I know who's manufactured me. I know what kind of family I had, if it was heirloom or not. I did not come from an heirloom family. And I'm gonna try to say this the best I can. I'm doing the best I can. I think of it this way. We got this homestead this year. Okay, so I am 43. So at 43 years old, unfortunately, I don't have the 43 years behind me to help. I've never helped a lamb give birth. And I don't know about tilling. I'm just learning about no-till, and I'm just learning about how to be a good steward of the land. And I'm kind of pissed that I don't have all that information. My mother just moved in with us, so we're going to be multi-generational, and she's about 70. So she's 70 years behind. I'm like, well, at least I'm better than her. And then we have our daughter, who's 8, And I mean, that's going to be pretty young age to get all this information. And then I wonder if I can make her love the land and the animals and her femininity so much that she raises heirloom children, because and then her children will be purebreds, like at 0, coming out of the birth canal homesteading. Yeah.
Okay, I want to say a few things because it brings up things. I have 2 adult daughters, and they're younger than you, but they're millennials.
Okay.
But the predominant message they got, and congratulations for dropping out of high school and going against what the message you give. But how do you combat the larger message that women are supposed to lean in like Sheryl Sandberg and be that, plus you saw some different images. The images we're now getting, I think a perfume model is going to be Megan Rapinoe, the soccer star with the short colored hair. That's what they're going to start using for perfume instead of, Natalie Portman and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With the super short hair, very butch, they're pushing it. I very much have never supported the girls having, I believe when I was growing up, we had separate gym classes. Why do they put them together for Title X? How can we get a whole group of women that want to be women again? And I honestly believe that same-sex gym classes that they've pushed, because you have to, even though they're never going to compete in sports on the same soccer team as the men, but you have to give the women supposedly the ability, but that brought up self-consciousness of women. That brought up all that of girls. That makes them more self-conscious to have to be in gym class. But how can we organize as women who want to go back to being women? I mean, just like our femininity, and think it's fine to be a woman?
That's a good question. I've been noticing that it seems like the more happy and content a person is, the less they are to scream and bitch and want change. So I think we are up against it because it seems that there's a lot of the statistic was, women are just as happy as men, and men have always kind of been like a little happy, and we're even a little bit less happy than men. So they're the screaming. They're the ones who are trying to make change, trying to get. I don't know. They want change, but they certainly don't want to go back to when women were a little bit more happy and taken care of and feminine. I don't know. The last speaker said that women are better actors, so maybe we need to start acting pissed off, and going. People are going to the school board now in droves and showing their anger and contempt for a few things that are happening in the school system. So possibly that's the thing I don't like about me, because I don't have the answer. It's what I like about Anthony, because he's brought us all here together. And you know what happened is, I just mentioned Will with the Renaissance of Men. He was an attendee last year, and he's like, I want to be a part of this. How can I make men better? And I would say that the answer could be in this room with 2 women who make friends and want to do something. And you have a website.
Okay, feminist fallacy.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to tell you something else. I don't identify as a conservative. I mean, yes, traditional values,
Yeah.
but I don't politically identify as conservative. This is for not a conservative, liberal, progressive
Surely.
issue as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So feminist fallacy, it points out all the flaws of feminism.
Yeah. So there's things like that, but you're probably not getting millions of views. I don't know. Maybe we need to troll people harder, or what's it called? Guerrilla marketing.
We don't like those tactics when they do it.
Yeah, but.
And they sometimes will accuse us of being, well, you're really a guy who's doing this. This doesn't come from.
What do you mean? Oh.
Because they think that women have to have all the young women raised to be feminists
Yeah, the hybrid.
And they don't, right, they don't allow nuance, and they can't believe it's a woman who says that.
Well, how old are your children?
31 and 37.
And would you say that they're feministy?
They're so feminist, it's not. And I see that it has harmed them.
Mm-hmm.
And it has harmed them, and they got it, I would say, in college more than
Yeah.
anything else, because I never accepted feminism.
That's the other thing. There are a whole slew of parents, not just single moms. I mean, there are parents who send their children to university, I think, thinking that it is this. This is how I see university. I always see everything more complicated than it really is. Okay, so the university was a spell, like a witch's brew. And it was so potent, and it was so expensive, and it was so hard to get that if you got a spoonful of it, you would be magically turned into a wealthy doctor or whatever it is, you know? But then the government comes in and subsidizes because they want to make money on it, and they just start adding water. If anyone's a wine drinker, have you ever had a nice bottle of wine and thought, you know what? I do this a lot. It tastes like a nice bottle of wine, but it rained the day before they picked the grapes. It's just a little bloated. And I think they just keep adding this water, and now everyone can get in for their sip, and it is a very lucky person to get that little piece of magic left. Mostly it's just water, you know? But maybe parents aren't really understanding that. I think if you go to school for STEM, you're onto something. Otherwise, 49% of entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, never went to college, or dropped out. Success is, I mean, if you want to make money, there's more ways to do it than college. So if there was a movement, perhaps, that pointed out that college might not be the answer for every person, to stop sending people to it. But you want to know what? I don't have an answer. I don't know. And you know, there's some of my commenters who are like, you know what, you better change the laws before I listen to you, bitch. You know, but that's the thing. I always say, I'm not going to change any laws. I'm not. And thank you for thinking I'm so powerful that I can do that. I'm about individuals. So I have a small YouTube channel, and I affect some individuals, and I get some emails that say, you really helped me, and now I can go out and make an heirloom family. They never say that, but you know, after my speech. So I think to be the happy change, you know, like I said, my husband and I would dress up, and that was our way of contribute. I always use the word contributing. I know it's not right, but I'm going to say contributing to society. So we would dress up and be this billboard, and then this one time is a stupid story, but I like it. We were out to eat at brunch, and I was cold, and he had on a jacket, and he said, you're cold here. And he put the jacket on me like a nice gentleman. He used the restroom. He came back. He said, are you ready? I said, yes. He stood up. I was warm. I put the jacket on him. And then we walked out, and it was those garage doors, you know, they're cool now, so you could see the sidewalk. And he walked me out, and he put me on the inside, like a gentleman. And we were walking, and he said, did you see those women? No, I didn't, but here's what happened. So I'm facing him, and there's an 8 top. 8 top means tops of heads, 8 people, 8 women at brunch. By the way, brunch is mostly women. Anyway, but they were watching. He said that when he came back, and I put the jacket on, they went, shh. And they turned around and they watched this thing, this spectacle, you know? And I said, I hope that one woman at that table goes, geez, I would like a man to put a coat on me when I'm cold. And then for her to think, oh, geez, have I ever put a coat on a gentleman before? You know, like, is there anything that I can change in my actions that will facilitate a man to do that for me? And that's when I think of what this conference is about. It's about men trying to be better. And I would like us to be the women that love them. And I think, I don't know if I'm in the norm or if this is a hybrid thing or a heirloom thing, but I can't believe that no one loves my husband like I do, because I love him so much. I love him so much. And I think about, like, when he tells stories about his past, I'm like, oh, you did that? That's so cool. That's so awesome. He was a firefighter in LA and he saved kittens. And I mean, how can you not love that, right? But also he does amazing things. So I feel that God put me here as my sole responsibility to love him as much as he deserves to be loved. And if I don't do that, then I'm failing a grander scheme, you know? But I still don't know. Sure.
It's a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
It's a puzzle. I'm Roya. Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you.
You're a beautiful presenter, by the way.
Wow, thanks.
I like how you do your arm movements and make us watch your story. It's wonderful. I have a private Facebook group and a website and courses for women to help tap more into their femininity. And one of the challenges that I've seen is to be able to articulate what it is that you're talking about. And I don't have the complete answer, but I just wanted to kind of put a drop in the bucket. That one of the main things I think is that we have to understand that no human is exactly with the same needs, although we have all the same basic needs, right? And so if we can guide it with individuality in mind, with baseline principles, and give freedom for how it's executed, will attract a lot more people. So one of the things that that's been a challenge to language is I don't have my whole vision out there, because I think most people would be like, what the heck are you talking about? But what I do speak to is the pain that they have in their bodies and on their shoulders and in their lives that they carry individually.
Is this metaphorically?
No, specifically. You can say, do you carry extra tension in your shoulders and you don't know why and there's no medical reason? Do you have lower uterine pain? There's certain places that a woman holds overused masculine energy in their body.
He's telling me to wrap it up, but I want to hear.
So anyway, we start with how self first in our movement and having conversation of how do you feel and does it feel good or bad? And if it feels bad, let me help you to feel something else and see if it works for you. And then once a woman fully embraces that feeling for herself, and then self-love occurs, then she can embrace her sisters. And when she embraces her sisters, she can invite the men in too. And then it becomes a complete unification. But it starts with self.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. It's funny because my mind goes to the opposite, similar, but if you ask a feminist how it feels to put a jacket on a man, it's not going to feel good.
But you're not asking her what she feels in her body, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be. That's a way more core spiritual approach.
It's the women that are tired and agitated and feeling guilty or feeling frustrated, and they're burnt out and they're stressed out and they're coming and going, something is wrong, what is it? And you show them the way.
Yeah, it's when everyone's trying to be a tomato, you know, and they're supposed to look like that. Oh man, that's so much better. So I guess, are we done?
That's all the time we have. Give it up for Jennifer Molesky. Thank you. Thank you.
We could win this war.
We can win this war.
Okay, well, joining us from Orlando, Florida, is the man in that clip, Anthony Dream Johnson, who says he wants to abolish feminism and make women great again.
No, but it also says, with a trademark, make women great again. For women, always great.
Make women great again.
But they're going to do a 3-day seminar for women led by all men.
In mansplaining news, a 3-day conference for women led by men hopes to make women great again.
How the 22 convention will make you the greatest you ever. Raise your femininity by 500%.
First of all, how is a man supposed to tell a woman how to be the ultimate woman?
But women need to be taught how to be great again. Not my words.
We do. Like how to land a husband, how to lose weight, how to pop out a bunch of kids.
Why do men think they need to fix the problems of women?
Well, it says the world's ultimate event for women.
In Orlando, Florida, that's going to be the scene of the crime. It's mansplaining palooza, and say no to the toxic bullying feminist dogma.
Taught by men to make women great again.
Taking the stage now is the founder of the 22 convention. You're in for a treat, Mr. Anthony Dream Johnson.
Anthony Dream Johnson.
Anthony Dream Johnson.
The first president of the manosphere.
It's run by all men, which promises to, quote, make women great again. This course is guaranteed to raise your femininity by 500%.
Together, we will make women great again. Excuse me, I'm mansplaining here. She said there's nothing radical.
This is Will Spencer from the Renaissance of Men here with the new 21 report and Jennifer Maleski. Hi, Jennifer. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How did you find speaking at the 22 convention this year?
This year, I found speaking. I was much more nervous this year. I don't know why, but it went very well, and it's kind of a repeat of last year as far as what it does to me. Like, I really like the honor of being able to speak about the things that I care about. But then I'm kind of greedy in a way because I know that I spoke for my 1 hour, but I get so much more out of everyone, listening to everyone else. And even as soon as we got here, we saw you, we were talking about what you're doing, and then listening to the attorney.
Melissa Isaac.
Yes. And I just really get pumped up, and I listened to her before I spoke, and that eased me into speaking. So I'm like, yes! Men, family, whatever,
Was that the title of your talk? Yes, man.
The title of my talk was "Feminism Sucks and the Government's Coming for You." That wasn't the title of it, but it was kind of the
awesome.
scope of it.
That is a pretty awesome title. What sort of things did you talk about during your talk?
I did get to slowly Agenda 21.
Oh yeah.
And it occurred to me as I was writing the speech and preparing for it that we are such a matriarchal society, and we hate the patriarchy so much that we kick men out of the conversation, and then that turns into hate and vitriol, and that turns into bad family, and then more men ousted. But my point to all of this is, who's the main dude? Who's the main father? It's God the Father. So then we've kicked out God the Father, and we've created Mother Nature and Mother Earth. And we're such a matriarchal society that we don't even realize that we've created a single mother, with too many kids, and she can't handle it, the overpopulation. So who's going to come in and rescue? Well, not God the Father. The government will come in.
Bingo.
Don't worry. The government's going to come in. So now we have this global government that wants to come in to save Mother Earth, and all of us dumb kids are like, yeah, save Mom. But she's fine if we would just let back in God the Father, but though we don't want to do that because we don't want to actually solve the problem.
Yeah, because that involves letting fathers back into the conversation, which can't be done because father is bad.
Yeah, they're dumb.
Yeah, super dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because my talk was about almost the same thing.
Really?
But from a very different perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, it was about how shame has been used to sort of chase men out of society, and where the shame comes from and what it's being used for. But enough about me. Let's talk about you.
Okay, because I was just going to start to ask you questions.
No, enough about. So did you find that the women were receptive?
Yeah, they're always receptive.
Okay, cool.
It was a lot of the same women as last year, so it was really fun. It's a fun, easy crowd. When my grandpa died a long time ago, there was a woman at church who was like bawling really, really loud. Okay. And my mom said, well, let's say her name's Aunt Irene. She said, Aunt Irene's always a good person to have at a funeral. Cause she represents the feeling that everyone's feeling.
Grief.
Yeah. And she's free about it. And there's a few women who are my the equivalent to a good person at a funeral. Like they're really great to have in the crowd. Like they laugh at my jokes, and they get offended when I want them to be offended, and then that kind of gets the whole crowd in a alliance with the message.
Were the women there willing to listen to Agenda 21? I know that a lot of men go pretty hard about the larger political aspects, socio-political aspects of it. I just don't know this for a fact, but are women as interested in going that deep with it?
Well, no, I don't know.
I know you are, but
yeah, but I'm even. I think at this point in my journey, I'm a bad representative. So I didn't touch too much on it. Like I told them, it's a 352-page document. I even tried to learn how to speed read for the event so I could read the whole Agenda 21. But it's a lot of lawyer speak and whatnot. But to answer your question, I only mentioned it briefly at the end, and it was very well received. I mean, when I with it, I showed the United Nations map of where they want people to live in like the no-live zone. And all they want to do is take real men and women that are actual stewards of the earth and remove them and put them into cities. I was on Terrence Popp's podcast, and we were talking, and I can't remember exactly how the conversation flowed this way, but he said something about feminism has shown the true nature of women, like hypergamous and whatnot. But wait, no, it's fine.
Okay, I'll go with you.
Okay, it's just a theory. But I said I think cities have shown the true nature of women and true nature of men. Because in a city, so we have sent our children from the home into education, and we've
public school education.
Yes, sure. And then we bend the knee so much to education that we send them away from the home to a university to get a mostly impotent degree, which is very expensive, and so they have to stay in the city in order to pay off their shitty education. And within the city, there's no reason for real masculinity and there's no reason for real femininity, because you have police protection, whereas out in the country or in a more broad community, you have to depend upon yourself and your husband and your family and your community and your neighbor. So you take that away, you no longer have to hunt for your food or have a desire to do so because you don't want to drive 2 hours to stay at Uncle Dan's. I'm just going to go to the grocery store, and you are bombarded not with nature and dirt, but with aesthetic beauty. I always say if I wanted to be better looking, I would just move to New York for a year, just to like figure out how the hell to do it, because everyone there is so stunningly beautiful. But it's a different.
There is a lot of beauty there.
There is a lot of beauty there. Same with LA.
A certain kind of beauty.
Yes, it is a certain kind of beauty. Yeah. But that's where people, they lose the touch of femininity and the dirt and the importance of living on the land, and they replace it with that kind of beauty.
Right.
So I think that is not feminism. It is the education system and our bending the knee to it and sending our children away from us into the arms of a very malicious education system that has poisoned the well.
It's kind of blowing my mind right now.
Really? I don't know if I'm answering any of your questions because I start to go.
We're just gonna go. It's fine. But no, what's really interesting you said about the cities have removed the need for masculinity and femininity. You're right. And Arthur Quan Lee was giving a talk, and he said the appeal of hip hop is the freedom to be hyper masculine, because that's the whole hip hop thing. Like that's ultimate masculinity turned up to 11. Violence, drugs, etc. Like that's the mythos that's sold in the hip hop world. Let's say,
interesting.
And that is an acceptable form of masculinity within an urban environment. And it's sort of like it's kind of like a law of the jungle type thing. So it's like, that's why that's okay. That's the appeal of that in the urban environment, because real masculinity and femininity aren't really needed. So it's sort of caricaturized.
It's a concrete jungle.
Yeah,
versus,
exactly. Yes. Yeah. So kind of getting my mind blown right now. Was that Terrence Popp's idea that masculinity and femininity have been eliminated by cities, or your idea?
No, it was mine, because he said that feminism has exposed women's true nature.
Yes.
And
so you jumped off that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's an exposure of a true nature. I think it's...
I agree. I don't think it is either.
No, it's a perfect way to operate within that shitty realm.
Yes. And so I think it's a warping. Like it twists men's and women's natures. It brings out some good aspects of creative interchange. Like the value of city is like, information can travel fast between people to create new ideas,
Mhm.
but it brings out a lot of the cities now bring up a lot of the worst parts of people. So is it the true nature? Like, that's kind of dark. I
Yeah.
don't think that's true. Or
Yeah.
and men or women, right? The
Mhm.
true nature, like, I don't know, misanthropy is gross.
I don't know what that word means.
Misanthropy means I hate humans.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and that's also, I think, part of the Agenda 21
Yeah.
is to remove people, and because they don't like, humans are the biggest parasite in the problem and kill the unborn children because it's a parasite. They don't. They don't appreciate anything. Is that true nature? No. Although that wasn't tied in, but I'm just saying it's that would be a bastardization, or what word did you say?
Misanthropy?
Yeah, that would be. I agree. I should have said, yeah, I agree.
This is great. So, have you gotten the chance to interact with some of the men going to 21 and patriarchs?
A few, not enough to even.
Do they recognize you? Like, oh, I see your YouTube channel. It's
Some
awesome.
people, some people, which I'm surprised about now. Since Dale has bought us the homestead. No. Since I've started homeschooling and staying home full time, and that's all I care about is the business of family. You know what I mean? So I try to care about my YouTube channel, and I do in a way, but it's slowly hemorrhaging. But I'm okay with that. I think it's time to practice what I preach in a way. But every so often, I do have a message that I want people to hear. But that's not my main goal. So to your point, I'm always kind of surprised when people do recognize me.
Yeah, you guys left Colorado and you moved somewhere.
Yeah, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
How's the homestead life?
Yeah, it's
going?
awesome. I love it. Yeah.
Talk about it more, because I did notice the shift in your relationship to your YouTube channel. I mean, I perceived it. I don't know that I could describe what it was until you named it.
Well, that's interesting. But I'll just answer your question. I very much enjoy it. I've said this before. So if we're gonna look at ourselves in a more natural way, I've had my spring season, which is like figuring out who I am, being controlled by parentals and everything that is controlling, and that was fine. And then the summer years, you're like, oh, here I am. Look at me, and you can go out into the world, into the city typically, and figure out the world. But now I'm in the fall and not winter years, but my fall season is here, and I want to be closer to the ground and the earth. And I do like the smell of dirt, and I hope I think I might die with a gun in my hand on a field, but maybe a cornfield would be better. That would be a nice way to go out. But I like the smell of the dirt and the corn. And I don't have any desire anymore to have a community. Like I just want my family.
No, you must have community. Well, what do you mean by community, though?
Okay.
Your YouTube community?
Yeah, no, I don't feel like I need that. I used to have my meetup, and that was really successful for 2.5, 3 years. Every Tuesday for 2 hours, like 15 to 30 people would meet, and it was brilliant. I don't miss it. And I don't have any desire to, I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know if this is a phase, but I feel very, very comfortable at home with the few people that I love. You say community is important, and that is one of my messages. But what do you think about me not caring so much about community? Do you think it's just a phase?
I don't know. I can say that you need to do what you need to do for you.
Sure.
You ask me, it's like if you're feeling like you don't feel the need for community in your life right now, in all the different ways it shows up, whether that be online or in person, and you want to focus on your home, and you want to focus on your stepdaughter, and you want to focus on turning a house into a home and building a homestead, then I think you should do that. And you shouldn't feel the need to need anything that you don't need.
Yeah. I just kind of watch myself, and I'm curious about this version of Jennifer Molesky that's unfolding.
If you're going into the fall season, I think you're talking about it in sort of like one life kind of thing, where fall leads to winter and winter leads to whatever comes after life, right? But you could just be heading into fall emotionally for this year, because we are heading in. It's like, just go with your desire to be close to the earth and see what comes out on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, that's great.
Yeah, and maybe I'm in a more contemplative, I said a bunch of things on my YouTube channel that I believe, and I think now it's time to hunker down, read the Agenda 21, form new thoughts.
Yes.
To share with the community.
That could very much be the case.
That could be.
Mm-hmm. So, have you enjoyed your experience at 21 over the past couple of years?
Yeah, this is my second year, and I can't recommend it enough. It's like it's. I've said this before, but if you've never driven through the Rocky Mountains and you drive through, you have to you're pumping the brakes, and it's just majestic and huge, and you can take pictures and be in awe. Mm-hmm. And then people will say, well, how was your trip? And you'll say, look at this, look how amazing. Mm-hmm. And they're like,
it's kind of flat.
It's like, it's just a stupid mountain. Mm-hmm. But when you're there, it actually fills you with an energy. Mm-hmm. And I think the same thing with this conference. It definitely fills me with an energy that I have never got anywhere else.
Wow.
And I think maybe it's because, well, no, for sure, it's because I'm surrounded by like-minded people. Mm. But unfortunately, it's. I said last year we had to fly here to find each other, mm-hmm. But it should be the opposite. It's the people who don't want community and who, the feminists and the people that hate the mythos of what.
Misanthropy?
Yeah, mm-hmm. They should have to get on a plane to be
Methodist.
No, not Methodist. To hang out with each other. I wish that was the minority. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just to see that I'm not alone mm-hmm. is really nice. And then to hear these brilliant people articulate what's itching at the back of my head mm-hmm. is really wonderful. Mm-hmm. For the past 2 years. This time we flew in yesterday and we leave in a couple hours. So I didn't have, it wasn't as much. I'll never do that again. I think we'll come here for the whole weekend mm-hmm. to absorb everything.
It's hard to step away from the homestead.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Mm-hmm. So when you guess you'd say that you get a shot of energy out of coming to the 21 convention.
Yes. Hold on. I want to really gather what I... It is, no, I wouldn't call it that. I would say like a rock on a mm-hmm.
Sling.
Yeah. And coming here, I have all this energy, and this helps me cast the aim for the next year.
Fly fishing. Okay.
Well, no, it was still a sling.
Okay.
I've never used the sling, so I'm only imagining maybe this is how you fly fish. But to have the aim, mm-hmm. it gets me on course instead of, that's how I would explain it.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Was this your experience last year too?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And which direction do you think 21's taking you this year?
The same. I just want, it recalibrates me to be more aware of my influence at home mm-hmm. and how I can improve it. Mm-hmm. And I always want to be a better wife, always, because I love Dale so much, and I just want him to be the happiest person ever. So it's good to get different perspectives on how to do that. And it just makes me more aware of who I am, how I show up. I hate that terminology, mm-hmm. but how I show up in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I like it.
So you're saying some really beautiful things about being a great wife to Dale, and about going into your own season of going, we might say closer to the ground, mm-hmm. and maybe taking a step back from social media and all that. So, but for women who are thinking about coming to the 21 convention or 22, or men even, what would you say to them? They're kind of on the fence, and they're seeing you have a very powerful experience. You're like, what would you share with them to show them, in your own words, what's going on here?
I mean, I don't know if I can phrase it better than I did. If you want to see the mountains, and if you want to feel them, you're gonna have to come here. I can't, I think that your question is kind of reminiscent to some negative men in my comment section will say, what's the bonus of having a wife? I can't tell you what love feels like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's its own beautiful thing. And it's so wonderful that I can't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
So That's how I would explain it, is I can't. And I don't know. I mean, what do you do for yourself? Every day you do some self-love and you read a book and you're trying to always be better. Why not do this thing and be around other people who read the book and do the thing? And maybe it'll help you sling and take that aim for the next year. I mean, look at you. You came here last year and I interviewed you. And
yeah, you did.
And now the tables have turned. And I wonder if this energy slingshotted you and propelled you for 1 year where now the roles are reversed. That's a big flipping deal.
That was the first time, in fact, now that I think about it, A, that was the first time I'd ever been interviewed on camera in that way. And B, it was like Sunday morning. Because because I'd been up all night talking to Jack Donovan. Yeah. And so here we are on a Sunday morning again. The tables are turned. I was up quite late last night as well.
Isn't that cool?
So that's amazing. Thank you for pointing that out.
Of course. Yeah. So I get a direction that takes me all year, and you just hear it. The person who's watching this, you just hear it. Dale lives it. But we have evidence right here of why you should maybe attend. I'm not saying that in 1 year, like, you're going to be interviewing me.
You
might, but yeah, nothing negative could ever come of this. This is a beautiful thing.
I couldn't say it any better.
Okay, perfect.
I just have one more really important question.
What is it?
What's your favorite lasagna recipe?
Oh God, I like manicotti.
Okay.
And it's my mom's manicotti recipe, and it's just meat and cheese and seasoning, and that's it.
I know you're taking a step back from your YouTube community and some of your online work, but is there some place you want to send people to look at your content or read or no?
Yeah. I mean, you can always go to, I have like 80 videos at Jennifer Molesky on YouTube, and they're fun. You know, like, you'll watch one, and if you like it, you might rabbit hole and really like me, or you'll downvote it and wonder why I'm invited here, and you'll dislike me. But that would be it's fine.
You might though.
It's fine.
You're right.
Yeah. But there's I have a lot of content, and I stand behind everything I've ever said. So, and I have nothing new to say. And if I do, I'll make a video.
Look forward to that.
Cool.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. This is Will Spencer from the Renaissance of Men, here with the new 21 Report and Jennifer Molesky. Thanks so much.